The movie opens with Chris taking his son Christopher to school. He loved his son a lot. After delivering him to school, he went to sell his scanner. He moved around the town and all people thought he was selling a time machine. When reached the doctor, he raised its price so high and the machine wasn't bought. He went to see his wife known as Linda and on coming out, his car had a yellow shoe on its tour and he ran because he never had the money to pay for it. On returning thinking they had forgiven him, he saw the breakdown being taken. After having dinner, he had a small quarrel with his wife for not paying the tax. He found a magical square and started arranging it but never succeeded very well. While he was moving with his scanner in the morning, he met a rich man and asked him what he was doing. He told him that he is a stick broker and it didn't need one to go to college. He admired them. While thinking about it, he told his wife about it and he was not supported to go for that job. Early in the morning when Chris was moving to sell his scanner, he saw a notice advertising a training for brokers and he admired to be one. He saw a lady singing besides Hema and stupidly decided to leave her with the scanner. He went into the building to start on applying for the training. While he was still speaking to the registrar, he saw the lady running with his scanner. He became uncomfortable and left without saying bye to chase after the scanner. The lady jumped into the train that had seconds to move and it took off leaving his in misery. He thought where to get money from because that was his life and family living. All his life was surviving on 3 scanners for a monthly rent and kindergarten for his son Christopher. He went home and surely without money he had no peace with his wife Linda. When he was talking to his son while going to school, he told us about the TV they watch. One was criticizing the teacher for allowing them to watch TV. She told his it was for history and after all he wasn't paying so he should stop his criticism. Do you see what poverty can do? He entered the building of brokers to look for Mr. Twistle to deliver his application. He found him and delivered it to him, but he was in a hurry. Fortunately, God bore him the second time and he saw the lady he had taken his scanner. He ran miles after them and snatched his scanner away from them. Since he was the only person selling them around the area, he could invest more money and put many to keep at his home. When he was picking Christopher from school, he told him about the story and he was asked whether he forgave them. He went back home without selling any scanner and his wife was so disappointed with him. When he could try talk to his wife about the problems he meets to sell the scanner, his wife could not mind and told him as she didn't care. As he was moving on his job, he met Mr. Twistle boarding a taxi. He told him to go together as their destination was the same. He was allowed inside and the taxi departed for the journey. While on the journey, Mr. Twizzles was on a magic square. He couldn't give Chris a chance to talk about himself concerning the job, because his magic square wasn't coming to sort. Chris told him to help him and fix it though he couldn't trust him to do it. Never undermine someone because of who they are. Chris fixed it, and Chris wondered with his eyes almost pooping out. Mr. Twistle reached his destination, paid and went on. Chris told the taxi driver to go a little in front so that Mr. Twistle cannot see what he was going to do. When the driver was still driving, he told him that he was sorry and ran outside. The driver ran after him, but he was a good runner because poor guys are faster. Problems after problems. While to board a train, his scanner was left outside and he left it with great anger. When he called home talking Linda about arriving home late. Little Christopher was crying when Linda told Chris that he was leaving. He boarded a bus and ran home to find when Linda had already got the easy ones. He received a call from Mr. Twistle inviting him for a training and he did not master it. He went in shops looking for his wife and son but they were seen nowhere. Always pulling ropes, he found his wife early in the morning going to work. They had strifes amongst each other and Linda was warned stay away from Christopher. He went to the kindergarten and took Christopher to remove him from his mother. Poor people have problems. While having dinner, a landlord appeared demanding rent. He gave him only 1 week to sort him out. While Chris Gardner was painting his apartment, police officers came for him and was taken to write a statement. After writing the statement, they decided to retain him in the cells for a night. He begged them to let him go as he had his son home and interviews the next day. They gave him a favor to call, and he called his wife and gave her the responsibility again. All this was because he didn't pay parking tickets. He ran as faster as cheetah to the broker's office for interviews with dirty clothes. When he reached there, Mr. Twistle felt ashamed of bringing such a guy to his bosses. For sure, poor people really ashamed the rich who bring them nearer to help them. He answered all questions well, and Mr. Twistle talked him about what he had done. He went back home and finished T.H.'s painting. He waited for Christopher, and he was brought home by his mother. Linda told him that her sister's boyfriend had got for her a job to work in a restaurant in New York. Linda cried, leaving her beloved son behind, and left Chris home for New York. This is a life of a poor man. Early in the morning, he had to relocate because the week he was given by the landlord elapsed. They went to a new place that they could afford for a while. You see, even children to poor fathers don't enjoy having what they want. His son wanted to be a basketballer, but because of his father's poverty, he told him to leave basketball for kids who have rich dads, which left him in tears. This time round he was successful, and he sold one scanner and got some money. Early in the morning, he ran to the offices for internship training of being a broker. While in class, they were given big books to read, bigger than a Bible in size. They were sent for a break, and he went outside to check on his son. He met Mr. Frank home of the bosses on his way to the kindergarten, other miles to run after his scanner from the man who had picked it. As he was running, he was knocked down and he lost one of his shoes. He went to the offices with one shoe, and everyone was wondering what kind of a person he was. When he was going to his apartment, landlord issues arise again, waiting for him to pay rent. He went back to the office the next day and continued the signing of clients for the company. And that role is done by brokers. When he called Mr. Robbins, he gave him 20 minutes of his time to meet him. As we all know, poor people are always unlucky. He found jam on the road. He reached Mr. Robbins' office when he had already left, and he missed him. They boarded a bus to go and see Robbins from his home. As people, Chris asked him whether they were going for football, but his father told him the difference between possibly and probably. And for him and as soon possibly worked well for them. He met him and thanked him for the chance to discuss business with him. He found Robbins when he was going to watch football with his son. He was asked to go and watch together with them. And for poor people, they cannot refuse as long as there is free driving and entrance. They went and watched football, and it was awesome. He got many friends and connections because he was sitting in the VIP section. Early in the morning, when he was still escaping the landlord, he was seen and reminded. He went to his friend to demand his $14, but he found when he was poor also. While he was somewhere when his son was playing, he saw a man who had picked his scanner and ran after him and got his scanner from him. Always followed by bad luck, the scanner refused to work when was going to sell it. When he went home, he found all his belongings outside and nothing to do. He felt misery, and he spoke to his son with a big voice because he didn't want to leave the place. They went to his friend, but he didn't open for them because when you become poor, all people ran away. He went to a train station, sat, and started conversing with Chris. He told him as he was holding a time machine that can take you anywhere. When they were trying to go somewhere, Chris took his son to dinosaurs. He figured a way to escape them and told him that they needed to hide in a cave. Oh my goodness, the cave ended up to be the washrooms. And it's where he told him to sleep for a night. He felt it hurting him in his heart and cried, but also crying as a poor man. Early in the morning, he went to ask for room from people who help the helpless. He was told as for them they only help women, and he was directed the place for men. When he went there, the line was from Asia to Europe. He went patiently, and they nearly stopped from him, but he passed. Although electricity was a mess, he was happy because they had where to sleep. He read the book he was given night and day, never gave up. He wrote the interviews, and he was the second to finish. As he was going away with the first person who finished, he asked him how the paper was. He was reminded as he had left some parts not answered and went back. When he was leaving, one of his bosses asked him to lend him some money to pay the taxi, because he had forgotten his home and he promised to give it back to him. Chris reached at the moment of selling his own blood to earn a living. Good luck started following him because he didn't give up. He used the money that he got from selling his blood to fix the scanner, and it worked. He went and sold it and got more money. He started improving his own life and went to the beach with his son. When he was at the job working, he was called by his bosses. He carried himself and went before them to hear from them. They congratulated him upon winning the interviews, and he was given a job of brokers. Officially, praise be to God, he was filled with joy and his suffering ceased from there. He enjoyed the fruits of not giving up and he made millions of money. They changed his life. This true story teaches us many things. Subscribe, comment, and share for progress. Thanks for watching.